We're checking out what it takes to pass the Army's air assault entry test in Business Insider's boot camp series is what they call it. But they like to call everything boot camp, which is freaking hilarious to me. Love to get your feedback on this, as I know some of you are military. I never had an opportunity to go to air assault school, especially with my legs being jacked up, but that's all right. I had some friends and family that got to go through it, and they told me a lot about their experience, and I'm just curious what the actual air assault entry test looks like. So let's take a look and see what it is. Air assault
is day 0. A physically and mentally grueling test. It's the first challenge that students at the Sabalowski Air Assault School must overcome before beginning what's known as the Army's 10 toughest days.
Day 0 is...
Do you think it's really the 10 toughest days, like known as the Army's 10 toughest days? I feel like some dudes that went through selection are looking at this like, okay.
Kind of the gut check day. That's the first moment where we filter out who is prepared to be here and who wants to be here.
Okay, I can see that.
Air Assault School, located inside the Fort Campbell Army installation, trained to insert themselves and equipment into combat using helicopters.
An air assault graduate is prepared to fight and win on any future battlefield.
But if students don't pass day 0, their time at Air Assault School is over before it officially begins. God!
Dude, this guy is a CW4. Dude, honestly, props to this guy, to this chief, for going through. Being a CW4, I think is what I saw. And he's going through this. You gotta be kidding me.
Roster 4, Staff Sergeant Cobb, 2nd Brigade. 6-0, Sergeant Quintos.
The day starts before sunrise, when students form up to receive their roster numbers.
Let's go.
About 9,500 students enroll in Air Assault School every year, but only a little more than half end up graduating from the course. Insider followed 2 students to find out if they have what it takes to survive day 0 and move on to day 1 of Air Assault School.
My name is Megan Anderson Miller. I'm a military police officer. It's a requirement for us here at Fort Campbell to have air assault wings before we can take command of a platoon. But not only that, I'm motivated and I like the physical endurance.
I'm CW4 RJ Mccurdy. I'm the Brigade Master Gunner for the Aviation Brigade here. So I'm 40, and I'm venturing to say, looking at the ranks of everyone around here, I'm probably the oldest one here. I wanted to come out to the air assault course to improve my skill set as a helicopter pilot.
Hell yeah, dude, that's motivating as hell. A friggin' 40-year-old chief is going through air assault school. Also, so Chief, CW4, that is a Chief Warrant Officer 4. There are different ranks within the military. So for the Army specifically, they have your enlisted ranks, they have your officer ranks, and then they have your warrant officer ranks, sorry. So there's Warrant Officer 1, Warrant Officer 2, Chief Warrant Officer 3, Chief Warrant Officer 4, and then Chief Warrant Officer 5. Chief is what people will call them, and they're mysterious mainly because instead of them doing a multitude of different jobs, they typically specify in one field. So if you have any specific questions, you go to that person about that because they are subject matter expert. There we go, subject matter expert. A lot of them are usually prior enlisted, where they maybe made E6. Typically E7 is usually what I see. They'll be a sergeant first class, and then they'll go to warrant officer school, or WOCS is what they call it, warrant officer candidate school.
Air assault next items. 1 quart canteen with stencil tape affixed.
The student's first test is an early morning inspection of their gear.
Headlamp with fresh batteries installed. Execute.
They're given a list of 37 items they're expected to have in their rucksacks.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, good.
If one single item is missing, they're automatically dropped.
It relates directly to what soldiers do in combat. If you're assigned a certain item of equipment that you need to carry and you don't have it, that's an operational failure for the entire unit.
17 students from this group were missing at least one item from their packing list and were dropped.
Attention to detail.
Test is a 2-mile run with an 18-minute time limit.
17 minutes! You got 1 minute! 57! Hurry up! 59! 18 minutes!
8 students from this group failed to cross the finish line on time. Those who passed moved on without them, but they don't have much time to rest before their next event. the obstacle course, with 9 events designed to test students' strength, agility, and confidence.
When it comes to this obstacle, the only thing that can touch these beams is your hands.
Instructors demonstrate how to negotiate each obstacle.
You cannot use any of the vertical beams to assist you.
And show students what they can and cannot do on the course.
Parasol, we know it's warm. Stay loose, stay hydrated, be smart, be aware. Everyone's a safety, look out for each other.
2 of these obstacles are major obstacles, and students must pass both in order to complete Day 0. First up is the aptly named Tough One.
Parasol on the left, go ahead.
It starts with a 3-meter rope climb, and then tests balance, along with upper and lower body strength, at a height of over 30 feet.
So it's pretty nerve-wracking when you get to the very top of that. I'll go back. I've done this one before. I'm sure many people have. I did this when I was at OCS. We were required to do this one. We also did it at basic training, actually, now that I think about it. The tough part is if you don't have the foot for climbing the rope, meaning how to anchor yourself down on the rope, and you burn out when you're climbing the rope up top and you fall. If anybody's fallen down while holding onto rope, the rope burn that you can get sucks. That happened to me. And when I was climbing up, I got to the very top and I just needed one more pull to pull myself up, and I couldn't get it. My lats and biceps had completely burnt out, so I slid all the way down. Then the second time I was able to actually get the anchor down with my feet and then get myself up, but then everything else was too easy. It's just kind of going through the motions. But when you get up here to the very top, it's a little nerve-wracking, I'm not gonna lie, because you really realize how high up you are.
Students wait in line with their backs to the obstacle, so they don't get a chance to observe other students' attempts.
I don't think a lot of people can climb the rope, so I would say that one would be their toughest one.
So over the past 2 months, if there was a rope, I go find it and I practice on it. I felt good going up it, but it was also a little bit of dumb luck that it was my very first thing where I had all my strength on my side.
I would promote others to work on their upper body strength to kind of be able to do that one to its fullest.
The second major obstacle is the 35-foot tall confidence climb. Students must climb up 10 wooden beams. As they ascend, the distance between each beam subtly increases before they climb over and begin their descent down the other side.
Use that black beam and then try to get that leg to swing over the top. They have those vertical beams on the side to hang on to. It makes it very easy to actually just climb onto the next one. But a lot of people, you could even see taller people that you think could just reach up, grab it, pull themselves to the next one, but they're scared of the height and they let it get to them mentally. There you go.
At this point in the day,
it mentally screws with you for sure on that, because when you get to a point when you're going to climb it, it's just like they said, there's a point where you can literally reach up and grab it, but because of how high up you are, the nerves start to set in and you start thinking twice on it, and it can be very friggin' nerve-wracking, I'll tell you that. The 2 ones that they've shown so far are pretty challenging. But yeah, being short, I'm not the tallest, I'm only 5'7". Doing this one was not a good time.
The heat index had risen to 105 degrees. And it started to affect some of the students.
He's teetering that line.
A medic gave this student a packet of powdered electrolytes to mix with the water inside his canteen to increase hydration.
I like heights. I like being up high, so just being able to look beyond, and I just kind of suppress the fear, I guess. I don't really fear it though. I enjoy it.
My height definitely helped. Like I said, I'm 6'3". Up that high, it was challenging, which is funny because I'm scared of heights being a pilot. But once you got over that top rung, on the way down, it felt good.
Music low-key sounds like Modern Warfare 2 lobby music.
Like Confidence Climb and Tough One prepare students for what comes later in air assault training.
It builds their confidence at high elevation, so when it comes to phase 3, it's easier for them to rappel off of the tower, as well as when we get aircraft, they're a lot less scared and they're more confident in their ability to hold on to something if they need to, or climb down something if they need to.
That's badass.
With 2 major obstacles out of the way, 7 minor obstacles are all that stand between these students and the end of Day 0.
Good stuff. Okay, so just to get to the comments quick. I feel like that can be said about all, yeah, definitely all military. It's mental, especially when you talk to a lot of people that go through like SF selection or RASP, different selections for those more top tier special operational force units. A lot of them will say that while yes, a lot of it is physical, very much of it is mental, and that goes for really anything in life. As long as you put your mind to it, you can truly accomplish anything. I'm a true believer in that. I push through significant amounts of pain in order to make it through like the training that I went through, and anybody that also has done it can say the same thing. I guarantee you that.
But if they fail 2 of these obstacles, they're out. Upper body strength is key when it comes to navigating the incline wall, which can be challenging for some students. But Miller conquered it with ease, as did Mccurdy. In the low crawl, students keep a low profile to avoid touching the barbed wire above them. Flexibility is put to the test with the high step over, where they swing their legs over 10 horizontal beams of varying heights off the ground.
As you can see, this female soldier, officer, is she's probably a little bit shorter. So you can imagine how bad this can hurt when, you know, the things get a little crunched. Nothing but pain.
On the 6 vault, students can only use their hands to vault themselves over the wooden beams. But for some students, it's not so easy.
I feel like I have really good upper body strength, and it kind of compensates for other things. Only thing that is a challenge for me, the belly over. That's the only thing.
The low belly over requires students to jump onto a horizontal beam, use their stomachs to catch themselves, and swing their legs forward onto the other side.
For people who are vertically challenged, I would say the low belly over is one of the biggest ones for them. You're looking at it and it's already at their eye level, and you gotta jump high enough to where it reaches under your rib cage to be able to flip over.
Miller was struggling.
I think it's just not pushing myself hard enough. I think I could push myself harder. I've seen people smaller than me go over it.
Students who fail their first attempt at an obstacle are given one more chance to complete it.
All right, Aerosol, you just can't miss another minor, all right?
This was Miller's first failed obstacle, which means she'll have no room for error on the rest of the course.
Yeah, I love that they're
Mccurdy
wearing
was
friggin'...
also having trouble with a minor obstacle.
They're wearing friggin' PT belts,
on the
man.
swing, stop, jump, students must swing from a rope onto a wooden beam.
Like, why?
Using their core and upper body strength to establish balance.
Certainly would have helped to have a little bit more upper body strength to get up that rope a little bit more. I would say at that point on the obstacle course that I was not necessarily burnt out, but I was feeling it, especially with that older age. I actually passed it multiple times in my practice sessions, and I couldn't get up on that rung.
This was Mccurdy's first failure, which meant that both he and Miller could not afford to fail the final obstacle, known as the Weaver.
After the rope swing, my spirit was hurt because I knew I was gonna be climbing up Mount Everest looking up at that Weaver.
As its
That thing
name
sucks.
implies, students navigate the Weaver by dipping over and under a series of ascending and descending wooden beams.
Absolutely hate this one.
Pretty physically exhausting and
Yeah.
leave some bruises if done properly.
It does.
Miller handled it with ease.
I don't know what it is. I just tell myself, okay, just like when I was a kid, let's go play on the playground. And I get it done. It just happens.
Mccurdy, on the other hand,
Leading into this obstacle course, the only one that I didn't want to do was the Weaver.
Yes.
Something that everyone has told me about, that it does take a lot of strength, a lot of technique, and you're gonna get bruised.
Yep. Come on, Chief.
I was unsure as to whether or not I can do it, but I kept pushing.
There, stop!
It was a really good feeling getting off that damn thing.
by completing the Weaver, both Mccurdy and Miller conquered the obstacle course and could finally catch their breath
Overall, I thought it was a fun course. It was very challenging. I'm happy that I don't have to do it again though.
Feels good. Feels like a refresher. It's good to see everybody smiling and kind of build that camaraderie between all of us.
250 of the 292 students who arrived at the Sobolewski Air Assault School survived day 0. They're given the rest of the day to refuel and rest.
Refuel with that MRE.
Because they'll need their strength before the Army's 10 toughest days officially begin.
Dropped on the final day of training after failing to complete a 12-mile march. So, for those of you that don't know, the 12-mile march, the ruck march, is the final thing that you do for air assault school. So, if you do not complete that, yeah, you get dropped. Also, they do a final check of all of your equipment after you finish the ruck. So, they don't check all of your stuff. You have a packing list that you have to have everything inside of that rucksack. If you do not have everything in the ruck, after you finish the ruck, they'll drop you. This is the last thing that you have to do. So imagine finishing a 12-mile ruck. You have to finish it within 3 hours. And you do your layout of all your equipment in your rucksack and you're missing something and they drop you from the course. Even though you completed everything but having the packing list correct. Because that's happened to a couple people that I've heard. It is what it is, man. Like, that's how it goes. You just attention to detail. Making sure that you understand what is expected of you. And the fact that people are showing up to these courses and they're missing things, it just blows my mind. You should completely do a layout prior to leaving, have everything that you need, and you're good to go. There's no reason at all, in my opinion, that you should be day 1 dropped for not having this stuff for you, because you are given the sheet of paper, the answers to the test. It's just you failing to do it. Now, the physical things, some of those are, yeah, like out of your control. Dude, sometimes rucking fucking sucks. And with it being a heat index of 105 on day 1, imagine day 10 if it's still that 105-degree heat index and someone is coming to do air assault school from a different duty station, such as maybe one in Alaska, or for whatever reason they wanted to do air assault. Because they'll send anybody to air assault school if they want to go, right? So that's the thing. There's a lot of things that can be out of your control, but the things that are in your control, if you come up and you're missing that stuff and you get dropped, I have no sympathy for you, straight up, honestly. Hope you enjoyed this. Let me know what your thoughts are on the air assault portion of this, and they have an airborne one. We may check out the airborne one next week, but yeah, let's keep her moving here.